Oh my lord. From the dizzying depths of mountain canyons to the boundless blue of open seas, China has redefined what it means to build the impossible. More than 960,000 bridges, each a testament to intelligence, daring, and the desire to conquer nature. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge connects three giant economic regions, while the Beipanjiang Bridge soars high into the sky, leaving the world in awe. This is not just infrastructure, but a symbol of strength in the future. So buckle up, breathe deep. You're watching Super Build. Let's get started. 8. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge. At first glance, the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge might look like yet another colossal suspension bridge stretching across the misty cliffs of Guizhou. But don't be fooled. This isn't just a bridge. This is a record-breaking leap of steel and cable that defies gravity itself, rising over one of the deepest canyons in all of China. Let's start with the jaw-dropping numbers. The bridge deck soars 625 meters, 2,051 feet, above the Beipan River, making it the highest bridge in the world when it opened. Stretching 2,890 meters, 9,480 feet, in total length, with a main span of 1,420 meters, 4,660 feet. This is not just engineering. This is audacity made real. It carries the Lujianshun Expressway, slashing travel time across the canyon from over an hour to less than 2 minutes. But Guizhou doesn't make things easy. The Huajiang Grand Canyon is carved into a labyrinth of limestone peaks, sheer vertical cliffs, and treacherous geology. Engineers faced obstacles most nations would consider impossible. Unstable rock foundations, mountain winds strong enough to twist steel, and a construction site perched over a bottomless gorge. How did they conquer it? With fearless precision. The two towers, each nearly 300 meters, 984 feet tall, were anchored deep into the canyon rim, reinforced to handle not just massive cable loads, but also seismic shocks and typhoon-level winds. The suspension cables, bundles of high-strength steel wire, each thinner than a finger, yet strong enough to carry thousands of tons, were spun across the abyss with pinpoint accuracy. Deck construction pushed human courage to its limits. Workers suspended hundreds of meters in the air had to lift prefabricated steel segments weighing over 100 tons each, locking them together in midair with millimeter accuracy. Every bolt, every weld meant the difference between triumph and disaster. The cost? Around 10 billion yuan, roughly 1.4 billion US dollars. But the impact? Beyond measure. Before the bridge, locals relied on narrow, winding cliff roads that were prone to landslides and deadly accidents. Today, communities once cut off from the outside world are connected directly to Guizhou's highway network. Travel times have collapsed, trade has accelerated, and entire regions have opened up to tourism and economic growth. Yet the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge is more than transportation. It is a statement that no canyon is too deep, no mountain too high, and no engineering dream too ambitious. It transforms one of China's harshest landscapes into a corridor of progress, a symbol of human determination stretching across the sky. This is not just a bridge. This is the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge, a monument to the idea that even when the earth itself seems to divide us, there is always a way forward, if you dare to build it. 7. Zhejiang River Bridge, the arch that touched the sky. Before Guizhou became a global hotspot for super bridges, there was one project that made the world stop and stare: the Zhejiang River Bridge in Hubei province. Completed in 2009, this engineering marvel held a jaw-dropping title: the highest arch bridge in the world. That's right. Long before Guizhou's giants entered the game, it was this quiet giant over the Zhejiang River that redefined what was possible with steel, concrete, and guts. Record-breaking height and dimensions? At its peak, the Zhejiang River Bridge stretches 294 meters, 965 feet, above the riverbed. That's nearly the height of the Eiffel Tower. With a main span of 430 meters, 1,410 feet, it's one of the longest concrete arch bridges on Earth. To put it in perspective, imagine a full-size aircraft carrier suspended vertically between two mountains. That's the level of scale we're talking about here. But what makes it especially impressive is its arch. Not a suspension or cable-stayed structure, but a traditional concrete arch, stretched to record-breaking heights in a mountainous region with unpredictable geology. Design, materials, and construction. The bridge is part of the G50 Huyu Expressway, connecting Shanghai to Chongqing, a vital link that winds through cliffs, rivers, and canyons. Engineers chose a concrete-filled steel tubular arch design, combining strength with ductility, perfect for seismic zones and extreme temperature changes. Over 50,000 tons of concrete and high-grade steel were pumped into the hollow steel tubes, which were bent into shape on-site and joined with precision. But here's the kicker. The arch was not built from the ground up. Instead, two halves were constructed simultaneously on either side of the gorge, then swung into position using massive temporary cable systems, meeting perfectly in the middle, hundreds of meters above ground. Missed by even a few millimeters? Total disaster. To make sure it worked, engineers used laser-aligned sensors and real-time GPS data, adjusting the tension of the cables hour by hour. A real ballet of physics in thin air. Cost, timeline, and challenges. Timeline. Construction began in 2006 and the bridge opened in 2009, just 3 years from start to finish. Estimated cost, 500 million yuan, 70 million US dollars. This was no cakewalk. The area is prone to landslides, torrential rains, and strong mountain winds. Workers were operating on suspended catwalks over 900 feet in the air. Every bolt, every weld, every sensor had to be perfect. What makes it unique? Unlike flashy suspension bridges or endless viaducts, the Zhejiang River Bridge is a return to classic engineering, but executed at a scale the world had never seen. It was the first bridge in China to use a large-scale concrete-filled steel tube arch at this height and span. The structure resists seismic shock, wind shear, and has a service life of over 100 years. It also became a prototype for future mega-arch projects, not only in China but worldwide. Real-world impact and legacy. Before the bridge, travel between Yichang and Chongqing meant long detours through hazardous mountain switchbacks. With the completion of the G50 Expressway, anchored by the Zhejiang River Bridge, travel time was cut by several hours. Logistics costs dropped, and economic flow surged into Hubei's inland regions. But more than just transport, the bridge became a global icon of Chinese bridge engineering. For nearly a decade, it remained the highest arch bridge in the world, inspiring new generations of structural designers. What it means. In a world obsessed with high-speed rail and soaring skyscrapers, the Zhejiang River Bridge quietly holds its place in history. Not by being loud, but by being perfect. It whispers to the mountains, "You may be tall, but we'll meet you halfway." It proved that China doesn't just build big, it builds with precision, patience, and profound respect for the landscape. 6. The Beipanjiang Bridge, defying the abyss. You think you've seen tall bridges before? Well, brace yourself, because once you lay eyes on the Beipanjiang Bridge, your entire understanding of what's possible in bridge engineering might just collapse. Rising 565 meters, that's over 1,850 feet, above a raging canyon river, this beast of a bridge stands taller than a 200-story skyscraper. Let that sink in for a second. It's so high that if you dropped a coin from the top, you'd have time to rethink your entire life before it hit the bottom. But this isn't some sci-fi drawing or simulation. This is real, it's functional, and it carries thousands of people every single day across a gorge so remote and rugged, even goats avoid it. Located on the border of Guizhou and Yunnan provinces, two of the most mountainous, infrastructure-hostile regions in all of China, the Beipanjiang Bridge was born out of sheer necessity. For decades, locals were trapped in logistical limbo. A journey that should take 1 hour? Try 5, winding through hairpin turns and treacherous mountain passes. But not anymore. Thanks to an audacious team of Chinese engineers and a budget of just $147 million, the impossible was redefined. The Beipanjiang Bridge opened in late 2016, and by 2018, it earned the official Guinness World Record for the highest bridge in the world. And it's not just high, it's smart. This is a cable-stayed bridge with a main span among the longest in the world for its class. It's specifically engineered to resist strong mountain winds, violent updrafts, and even seismic activity. The cables, the towers, the tensioning, all meticulously calibrated for a site that most countries would have just given up on. But not China, because this bridge isn't just about connecting two provinces, it's about erasing isolation. With it, travel time between Zhenxiang County, Yunnan, and Zhuanwei City, Guizhou, dropped from 5 hours to just 1. That's 4 hours of life returned to every trucker, teacher, tourist, and child who crosses it. And you know what else? It's beautiful. Standing atop it, you're greeted by clouds below your feet, wind in your face, and an overwhelming sense that somehow you're floating. The deck seems to hover in space, supported by little more than steel threads and bold dreams. And from a tourist point of view, it's an Instagram magnet. Travel bloggers now flock here just to snap that "I'm walking in the sky" shot. It's not just infrastructure anymore, it's a destination. But Beipanjiang is just the beginning. Because if you think one bridge towering over a canyon is impressive, wait till you see what's coming next. 5. Xingkang Bridge, the titan swinging over Earthquake Valley. But make no mistake, this isn't just tall. Xingkang Bridge is a super engineering wonder built in extreme conditions. Situated at high altitude across terrain, battered by frequent earthquakes and storm-level winds, the area is a natural fortress of danger. To anchor this gargantuan span, engineers designed a world-first tunnel anchorage, a deep rock tunnel drilled into a mountainside to secure the bridge's load without compromising the highway alignment. Every part of the steel truss deck was fastened with near-microscopic precision using high-strength bolts measuring 24 millimeters in diameter, set into 26 millimeter holes. Thousands of these bolts had to align perfectly, leaving barely 2 millimeters of wiggle room, with strict inspection protocols in place to guarantee safety. Then there's the wind. The Dadu River Valley experiences chaotic, multidirectional gusts, sometimes reaching speeds of 32.6 meters per second, equivalent to a Category 12 typhoon. A field-based wind observatory was installed on site. Construction crews could only work when wind conditions were safe. The bridge's aerodynamic design, combined with real-time monitoring, enabled safe assembly of massive steel sections in dizzying conditions. Upon completion, the Xingkang Bridge emerged not only as a structural marvel, but as a regional lifeline. It slashed travel time on the Yan-Kangding route dramatically, bringing remote communities within reach and strengthening connections in southwestern China. By earning the IBC Gustav Lindenthal Gold Medal in 2019, Xingkang Bridge claimed its place as a true super project of modern Chinese highway engineering, one that defies gravity, geotechnical odds, and the limits of traditional design. 4. Longjiang Bridge, the Flying Dragon of Yunnan. Perched among the steep canyons and misty mountains of China's Yunnan province, lies a bridge that seems to defy gravity itself, the Longjiang Bridge. Locals call it the Flying Dragon, and once you see it, you'll understand why. This is not just one of China's most jaw-dropping suspension bridges. It's among the highest in the world, with a deck soaring 920 feet, 280 meters, above the Long River Gorge. To put that in perspective, that's taller than the Eiffel Tower, and it doesn't just hover. It stretches nearly 3,900 feet, 1,196 meters, across. A single uninterrupted leap over one of the most rugged landscapes in Asia. Opened to traffic in 2016, the Longjiang Bridge was part of the Baoshan-Tengchong Expressway project, connecting two of the region's most important border cities near Myanmar. Before this bridge, the journey took over 5 hours on winding mountain roads. Today, under 1 hour, and that includes time to stop and admire the view. Let's talk about engineering. The entire bridge hangs on two massive towers, each anchoring an enormous cable system stretching across the valley. These cables weren't just hoisted into place, they were launched across the gorge using high-altitude drones and rocket systems. Why? Because the canyon was too deep, too unstable, and too dangerous to send workers across by foot or cable car. So engineers sent rockets first. Yes, rockets. Once those cables were in place, the 22,000-ton steel deck was built out in segments, piece by piece, suspended hundreds of feet in the air, stabilized by real-time wind tracking systems and laser alignment gear. Construction teams worked with millimeter precision, while dangling over a canyon in a region known for earthquakes, landslides, and dense fog. Total cost? Approximately 1.96 billion yuan. That's about 270 million US dollars. For one of the highest bridges on Earth, it's an absolute bargain. What makes this bridge even more special is that it's not located in Beijing or Shanghai or Guangdong. It's not a vanity project. It was built for the remote frontier province of Yunnan, proof that China's infrastructure boom isn't just about showing off, but lifting up entire regions. Real-world impact: the Longjiang Bridge completely restructured local economies. It opened up cross-border trade with Southeast Asia. It boosted tourism to places that were once virtually unreachable. It cut transport costs, accelerated emergency response times, and brought clean logistics to villages that had never seen a highway before. And symbolically, this is the kind of project that says, no mountain is too high, no gorge too deep. It's not just a bridge. It's an act of defiance against the limits of geography. An architectural middle finger to the notion that terrain should dictate destiny. With every car that crosses it, the Longjiang Bridge reminds the world that where others see obstacles, China sees opportunity. 3. Yangtze River Bridge. The longest cable-stayed bridge in China. Built to stun Wuhan and the world right, in the heart of Wuhan, China's central megacity, stands a bridge so massive, so elegant, it almost floats above the mighty Yangtze. This is the Yangtze River Bridge. And it doesn't just carry traffic, it carries the pride of modern Chinese engineering. Completed in 2019, it instantly claimed the title of the longest double-deck cable-stayed bridge in the world. How long? An insane 1,700-meter main span. That's over 5,577 feet of uninterrupted steel hanging mid-air by nothing but cables and towers. And that's just the center span. The entire bridge stretches 4.1 kilometers across the river, linking the dense Hanyang district with the booming Wuchang New Town. It's more than a crossing, it's a lifeline between Wuhan's two hearts. So what makes this bridge special? Start with the numbers. The two main pylons rise over 280 meters high, each holding hundreds of steel cables in a harp-like array. These aren't just any cables. They're high-strength strands capable of supporting thousands of tons of pressure, swaying with wind loads and flexing with seismic movement. Each one is engineered with a margin of safety that would make NASA jealous. Then there's the deck. This is a double-decker bridge, 6 lanes of highway on the upper level, 4 lanes plus pedestrian walkways on the lower. That's 10 lanes total, supporting more than 150,000 vehicles per day with smooth flow, even during rush hour. But here's the real feat. The entire main span is cable-supported, no piers in the water for 1.7 kilometers. That means zero disruption to shipping traffic below. And on the Yangtze, one of the busiest inland waterways in Asia, that matters. Cost? Just north of 8.7 billion yuan RMB, roughly 1.2 billion US dollars. For a bridge of this scale, that's shockingly efficient. The entire project was wrapped in 5 years, starting in 2014 and opening in time for the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. It was more than a construction deadline. It was a political and national showcase. Wuhan's skyline would never be the same again. The materials are equally impressive. 220,000 tons of steel, 960,000 cubic meters of concrete, and enough cable to stretch from Beijing to Tokyo. Precision robotic welders stitched together the deck in midair. GPS-guided cranes placed every component to within a few millimeters. This wasn't just bridge building. It was surgery at the scale of cities. And the bridge doesn't just exist for show. It relieved enormous pressure on the existing Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge, which was overloaded daily. Commutes that used to take over an hour were slashed to under 15 minutes. Emergency services, freight transport, and even tourism in the region were transformed overnight. But beyond function, the Yangtze Bridge is a statement that China is no longer just following engineering trends. It's setting them. That Chinese cities don't just dream, they build. And that the Yangtze, once a natural barrier, is now an artery of seamless urban flow. This bridge didn't just connect two sides of a river. It connected Wuhan to the future. And once again, the West looked on in disbelief, asking not if it could build something similar, but how China managed to do it so fast and so flawlessly. 2. Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, the longest sea crossing on Earth. This isn't just a bridge. This is the longest sea crossing bridge system on the planet, 55 kilometers long. That's longer than a marathon. Heck, it's longer than the distance from Manhattan to JFK Airport and back, twice. Stretching a staggering 34 miles, that's 55 kilometers, across the volatile waters of the South China Sea. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, HZMB, is the longest sea-crossing bridge tunnel system on the planet. No other structure connects three of the world's most intense economic zones like this: Hong Kong, Macau, and mainland China's Pearl River Delta. It's not a single span. It's not a simple arch. It's a complex system that includes bridges, artificial islands, and a 4-mile submarine tunnel, all stitched together into one continuous megastructure. And the question everyone asked at the start was simple: why build this at all? Why pour $20 billion into a route that already had ferries, airports, and tunnels? The answer: speed, sovereignty, and strategic dominance. What used to take 3 hours by ferry now takes just 30 minutes by car. That's a 6x boost in regional logistics and integration. Every second shaved off, a win for trade. But engineering this monster wasn't just difficult, it was borderline insane. The region is a nightmare for construction. Typhoons, seismic activity, massive shipping lanes, and unstable seabeds. To solve this, Chinese engineers designed 6 separate bridge sections, connected by 2 massive man-made islands, and tunneled directly under the busiest shipping corridor in Asia. The tunnel section, known as the immersed tube tunnel, is one of the most difficult feats in global civil engineering. It's made up of 33 immersed segments, each weighing more than 80,000 tons, and placed with sub-millimeter precision 45 meters below sea level. That's like threading a needle while underwater during an earthquake. The bridge was built to endure the worst of nature. It can resist magnitude 8 earthquakes, super typhoons, and even collisions from 300,000-ton cargo ships. That's not a bridge. That's an armored dragon sleeping on the sea. Construction started in 2009, and after nearly a decade of nonstop work, it opened in October 2018. Critics called it a white elephant. Pundits said it would sink under cost and politics. But 6 years later, it hasn't just survived. It has revolutionized travel and trade across southern China. And here's the wildest twist. The bridge is so long and so complex that drivers literally switch from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic halfway through the route, depending on whether they're entering Macau, Zhuhai, or Hong Kong. Special interchanges and buffer zones were designed just to make that transition possible. The real-world impact is enormous. The Pearl River Delta now functions more like one super city instead of fragmented zones. Factories in Zhuhai can ship goods to Hong Kong's port in under an hour. Tourists can move freely, and more than 1.5 million people now have daily access to high-speed ground connections that didn't exist a decade ago. Engineers from around the world flew in to see it. Western news outlets called it one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. Some called it wasteful, others said unrealistic. But here's the truth. Nobody, not America, not Europe, has ever built something like this. And whether you love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. Standing on this bridge, you don't just feel wind in your hair, you feel the weight of ambition stretching across the sea. 1. Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge, the longest bridge on Earth. That you've never heard of. Let's start with a number. 164.8 kilometers. That's over 102 miles of uninterrupted engineering. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't a highway, this isn't a railway network. This is one continuous bridge. And it's not only the longest bridge in China, it's the longest bridge in the world. Built for the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway, the Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge is what happens when a nation decides to ignore limitations and build at godlike scale. Record and structural feat. When it opened in 2011, Guinness World Records immediately named it the longest bridge on Earth. It holds that title to this day. No other country has come close. But here's the crazy part. It doesn't cross a giant ocean or a canyon. Instead, it spans the Jiangsu floodplain, a region filled with lakes, rice paddies, rivers, and soft ground that shifts like jelly. So how do you build a bullet train that moves at over 215 miles per hour, 350 kilometers per hour, on terrain like that? The structure consists of 9,500 concrete piers and stretches over two entire cities. At points, it floats just 5 to 10 meters above ground. At others, it flies over giant lakes and rivers. The result? A seamless, high-speed corridor from Beijing to Shanghai. Materials and construction? The numbers are just insane. 450,000 tons of steel, 10 million cubic meters of concrete, over 10,000 workers, 4 years of non-stop work. To stabilize the structure, engineers embedded thousands of deep foundation piles into the marshy ground, each pile precisely placed by GPS-guided machinery. Rain, floods, typhoons, not a problem. The bridge was built to withstand magnitude 8 earthquakes and category 4 typhoons. Cost and timeline cost? Estimated at over $8.5 billion. Timeline began in 2006, opened in 2011. Just 5 years to complete the longest bridge in human history. Compare that with infrastructure in the West, where a 5-mile bridge can take a decade. China did 102 miles in 5 years. Unique features. Unlike most bridges which are designed to cross obstacles, this one was built to avoid them entirely. No more detours around swamps, no more curves to dodge rivers, just a dead-straight elevated path for one of the world's fastest trains. It even includes emergency lanes, maintenance walkways, and shock-absorbing bearings that allow it to flex with earthquakes, while keeping trains running at full speed. Real-world impact. Thanks to this bridge, the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed line can operate at full speed across one of the most difficult terrains in China. The total travel time between the two megacities dropped from 12 to 18 hours to under 5 hours. Daily ridership. Over 200,000 passengers. That's like moving the entire population of Salt Lake City every single day at 215 miles per hour. It also became the gold standard for building high-speed rail over soft terrain. Countries from Indonesia to Egypt have since sent teams to study it. The Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge isn't flashy. It's not Instagrammable. You won't see tourists lining up for photos. But this quiet monster represents something far greater. A national obsession with scale, a refusal to say no, and a belief that infrastructure should be built for centuries, not elections. This is not just a bridge. It's a message to the world. We will connect our future, no matter the cost. China now holds the crown, with over 20 bridges rising above 300 meters, more than any other country on Earth. But these aren't just roads across rivers or shortcuts through mountains. They're monuments of engineering. They're symbols of national pride. And increasingly, they're icons of tourism and inspiration. Each one tells a story of daring innovation, of audacious ambition, and of a nation that simply refuses to be stopped by terrain, budget, or fear. While the West debates whether something should be built, China's already laying the final beam. From the sea to the sky, China's bridges aren't just transportation infrastructure. They are national statements. Now it's your turn. Which bridge impressed you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your story. Like this video? Then smash that like button. Subscribe for more jaw-dropping megastructures. And don't forget to hit the bell and super build Chanel so you never miss the next engineering marvel.